Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out here after a busy work day, school day for some of you, especially for this time of the year. It's so very busy. I appreciate it, though. We have tonight, I wanted to provide an overview of our youth services here in Paradise Valley Unified School District, because we're getting so many phone calls and we can't possibly talk to everyone that we want to and everyone that calls. So we have a lot of our information of our services up on the website, the Gifted Ed website, and I will include that link there at the end. But at the same time, sometimes there's questions that you might have and that are not addressed on the website. So I wanted to, in addition to all of the information that we have on the Gifted Ed website, I wanted to provide, we're going to record this so that parents can actually see some of it as well live. Can you hear me then? No? Am I really loud as a friend? No? Okay, sounds really loud to me. Otherwise, if you cannot hear me, please come down further. There's plenty of room on this side as well, but I will put this closer. Is that better? Yes? Okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm Edina Lewis. I'm Director of Youth Education for Paradise Valley. And my incredible assistant is Karen Monahan here. If you have called my office, you've probably spoken to her. And I have to tell you, we would not have these services if it weren't for this lady here who's able to manage all of the calls from parents, teachers, and administrators. So, yes, we have tonight to talk about some expansion in our gifted programs, and also some of what we've established already that's that we've been doing well for a long time. We're going to talk about the services, though. I'm going to talk just a couple minutes about the gifted identification itself. There's many of you whose kids right now are just been tested this spring in our spring testing. Some of you are perhaps some outside testing. And I also wanted to talk about what the gifted identification, how that relates to programming. We have over a dozen gifted programs in Paradise Valley with different criteria, different application processes for the different programs, and you'll have a better understanding of what program might be available to you or optimal for your child after going over this. And then, of course, some suggestions on how to get the best services at your school. So when we talk about gifted identification, I get this call all the time about, my child does really, really well in school, high achieving, but they didn't qualify in your test. What's wrong? Well, the gifted test that we use the ability test or IQ test. And the psychologists administer IQ test. We, the schools, only administer ability tests for gifted identification. The school psychologists administer IQ tests for special ed services, but we don't have that ability. So there's a big difference between ability and achievement. The achievement test that your kids take, maybe the AIMS or Terranova, just the regular achievement tests that are part of the regular curriculum, that is measure what the child has learned in school, what the child knows. When you do ability tests, we really measure the potential for learning. And there's a big difference with that, because a lot of gifted kids are not achieving in school. They're not high achieving. And those are the kids I'm most concerned about. If a child has very high potential, but they're not achieving, we need to have some interventions there, and we need to do that through our gifted programs. And then, of course, there's a lot of high achieving kids who do not need gifted education services. If you're one of those parents, I say, good for you, congratulations, you have a high achieving student. That's our goal when we do this. So when we talk about testing of general ability, we're talking about the ability test, but also some IQ tests. What we're talking about here, when you get those test scores, usually you get a verbal quantitative or nonverbal score. Those are all ways to measure general ability. We consider a child gifted regardless of what area they identify in. And that's part of our state mandate. I'll go over that in a bit. But a lot of the states get to decide how they identify students as gifted. In Arizona, we say any one area, verbal, quantitative, or nonverbal, qualifies a student to be gifted. So when you see rural, quantitative, and non-rural, it doesn't really mean the different abilities people are being measured. It's all general, relates to general ability, but it does relate to some strengths that the child may have. Verbals can obviously relate to language arts, reading, writing, and quantitative to mathematics. However, the non-verbal or perceptual reasoning is how the child processes information and how the child learns. So when we talk about general ability, it's really what allows us to solve problems. And that would involve words, pictures, numbers. It's how we reason, memory, sequencing, the way we connect ideas across the domains. This is all part of how we learn in school, or everything we learn in school. So I like to lose sight of, oh, my child is identified on a verbal barrier, therefore he should do something for an embarrassed only. I don't believe that. I believe that they have a high potential that will cross over to the different domains, different content areas. And that's when we want to provide a variety of different types of media services to reach all of those areas. High ability relates to how students see things. They make relationships between ideas and objects. This is how part of the testing process it captures some of that. It's how they acquire and retain information very quickly, which means that they learn at a much faster pace than other students. That is why we also have to group them together so that we can allow them to move through the content more quickly than if they were only alone in that classroom. So when we're looking at gifted identification, mainly it's right around 130. The vast majority of our gifted students are going to be between 130 and 145 IQ. And the most of our gifted programs will service these students just fine. It's when you get way over here, over 145 IQ, that's when you probably need a specialized, a different type of a gifted program. And we're going to be going over all of those different programs that we have and different requirements and criteria for entrance into them. But before we do that, I'd like to point out here, 100 IQ is average. And if we look at 85 to 115, this is pretty much very average. 115 to 130 is going to be high average, and 70 to 85 is going to be low average. The reason I like to point this out is if you move up across, 95% of the students in our classrooms are between 70 and 130 IQ. But we know that a child with 75 IQ is very different than a child with 125 IQ. But there's constructs built into the school system that are there to help these kids over that are on this end. There's very little in the schools to help the students that are between 130 and 145 or over 130 IQ, I should say. That's why we have to do something different for them. They fall outside that 95% that we call normal, or average. The curriculum, the standards, the Arizona State standards are really designed for grade level. The curriculum textbooks that we purchase and that we utilize are designed for average. These kids are going to do really well with that. So if you have one of those children who are high achieving and didn't qualify on an ability test or an IQ test as gifted, know that there's concepts built into the school system that will help those kids achieve. It's when we get outside of that average area that we have to do something different. The other thing I'd like to point out is when we see kids over at this end, far removed from the norm on this side, we realize that they have different social and emotional needs that might not be typical. It stands to reason then, if we move the same distance from the norm on the opposite side, that these kids are going to have some different social and emotional needs. They need teachers that understand what their identity means. They need to be with other students that also feel a little bit different. So that because we know when kids feel understood and accepted, they're going to take more academic risks, they're going to make more challenges in school, and that's where real learning occurs. So that's another reason why we want to group these students together. So when we're looking at IQ, the 110 IQ, that's the bright child. 27 and 100 is. If you reflect back on that bell curve, you can see that there's about 15% of students around that area. Over 120, 1,100, and over 130. This is really good identification typically since then. Okay? But what about the higher we go? In our self-contained gifted programs, we have a minimum of like 140 IQ, but we see between 140 and 160 IQ in that class. And that's why I'm telling you that self-contained program is not for every gifted child, but it is a lifesaver for these who really truly need it. Let me give you an example, because these things relate differently to the information and to each other. If you look at this, when's the last time you were in a group with 10,000 student people? Maybe a sporting event or a concert or something like that. Or how long do you think it would have taken you to find somebody that's like you? A very long time in a group of 10,000 people. That's why we put these students together, so that the kids automatically have peers, learning peers, and others with whom they can relate. So, I bet if I talk to each of you individually, you would describe a very, very different gifted child, okay? Yet, a lot of times we say, here's our gifted program, and it is for the gifted child. Well, all gifted children are going to look a little bit different. The phone calls that Karen and I get, a lot of times you might have had one of them say, well, here's some of the things I'm seeing in my child, and I don't know if this is typical, because it's my first child. Or I'm thinking, people are telling me this is a little unusual. So, some of you might have this child at home. This child, and of course, that's correct. But the child who learns to read really, really early, probably that's a sign of typical a lot of gifted students. Then they become toddlers and they continue, and then they get to elementary school age. And okay, a lot of people who really don't know gifted kids will think, okay, there's a gifted kid. Non-athletic body, extremely polite, 150 IQ, makes straight A's, anxious to be pleased teachers, already starting their job, has pushing parents, stays in the lines when he's coloring. The reason I want to put this here is because there's a lot of misunderstanding, not just with parents, but also with educators, of who the gifted child is and what they need. Okay, then they get to middle school and they lose all common sense. I can say this because I survived through those children. But in reality, there's the gifted students, they look very different, they're going to have different needs as well. And there's certain groups of gifted students who might not have been accepted or challenged or even included in some gifted programs. Some of these, like the creatively gifted child who thrives in beauty and might not perform as well. The gifted perfectionistic child, that's the child who refuses to do anything that they're not sure they're going to do it perfectly, or gets kind of paralyzed by a challenge. The highly profoundly gifted child, and that's a child I was talking about with over 145 IQ. Culturally and linguistically diverse children. Sometimes based on life experiences or different cultural experiences or language, they might not have been accepted or feel accepted, even if they were accepted into a gifted program. And then the twice exceptional gifted student. This is a child who has an IEP for special education for learning challenge or behavior, and also gifted identification. We want to include these kids in our gifted programs, and especially when we focus on areas of challenge, and we focus on areas of strength. So some of these kids are too smart for us not to focus on their areas of strength. They get very frustrated if we don't. And then, of course, the non-productive gifted child. Anybody here know non-productive gifted children? Okay, it was fun. I got one. It was not as well. So what are the learning needs of these students? The same exact thing is all kids. They deserve consistent opportunities to learn the material and make academic growth every single year. And guess what, folks? This is the group that is least likely to make academic progress. Who's the name? This is the group that is least likely to make yearly academic progress. That is because they have typically mastered 60 to 85% of the grade level standards before having been exposed to them, before the teacher even teaches them. So, we need to provide opportunities where we can go beyond, go deeper into the material, accelerate through the material. And you know, if you're a parent of a given child, if you're a teacher of a given child, that given children do learn differently. They don't need to go through the same steps as other students. They process information differently. They have, they make intuitive leaps. They see the answers in their head sometimes. They don't have to walk through the same steps as everybody. School is set up in a very linear, sequential way. Step A, step B, step C. The curriculum that we got is sequential like that. Give your kids brains, they're more abstract, random a lot of times. They make leaps, they'll go from A to F to Y, and they'll go back to L if they need something, if they're missing something. They just don't follow the routine structure as well. That's why it's so important that we have teachers that understand who these kids are, how they think, and what we can do better to serve them. So to look at the larger picture, when people call me and say, ask about federal funding or funding for gifted education, there is none. There's none. There's no federal mandate and no federal funding for gifted education. There used to be 2 cents of every $100 spent in K-12 until a couple years ago when the JABS grant was eliminated and never really trickled down to schools. It was for research. So we are one, up until February 2010, we were one of 6 states that were fully funded. Now we have a state mandate that is unfunded. So our state mandate defines what the child is and what we're supposed to do with it, but it doesn't give us any funding to do it. So therefore, there's no washout and there's no penalty for not doing that. And that's the reason why a lot of school districts do not provide accessible education services, because there's no funding and there's nobody that's saying you must do this. However, in Paradise Valley, we understand that these kids have equal rights to learn and make progress, academic progress every year, and that's not going to happen unless we use our existing resources a little differently. The other thing that's up out there is that very few states require any pre-service teacher training. That means that teachers do not have to have any educational university coursework in order to get education in order to teach. If this is a significant portion of our population, that means they're missing the boat right from the beginning. It's not their fault though. That's just the way our teacher education is built, is structured. So the teachers that are taking our workshops in Paradise Valley, taking university courses, they're doing that because they want to. The teachers that are volunteering to take honors classes, or be a cluster teacher, or work in the program, they seek out that specialized training on their own. And I give them a lot of kudos for doing that. So our gifted mandate in Arizona says that students must be provided with special education services commensurate with their ability and potential. And the curriculum needs to be differentiated for them. And that anyone identified 97 or above on one battery of the ability test or one IQ score has the right to, we're obligated to provide the services. Also, it says that teachers must hold or be working toward gaining endorsement. That is really unreasonable to expect that every teacher that's teaching kids is going to have to get endorsement. That's why we provide a tremendous amount of training, teacher training within our district, especially targeted for the different programs that we have. So, without a good national strategy or federal mandate, it really depends on what we are doing here. We'd like to see, and Jane Clarback, the legislative advocate for National Association for Gifted Children, says that all gifted is local. And by that, since you know federal mandate, and there's little such state support, it really boils down to what the school district is doing, what what the school is doing and what's occurring in the classrooms. That's where we have control. So there's a lot that we can do, though, within the schools itself. I'm going to now just start talking about our gifted programs. And before I do, I'd like to identify certain elements of effective gifted programs. So whatever gifted program that we have, these are components that we know that need to exist. When we say flexible grouping, that means that we flexibly group the students within the grade level within the class in order to so that they can learn together with like-minded peers. We know that gifted students need differentiated curriculum, but continuous progress, we need that. By that I mean that we need to make sure that we're documenting that our gifted students are making yearly growth, academic growth in the contact areas, and we need to have special measures, structures in place for that to occur. Intellectual peer interaction, we know that kids learn better when they're learning together because they're very competitive, they like to spark ideas on each other, and that's where they can really take their learning to a new level. Continuity means that gifted education doesn't start before grade year 12 starts. It starts as soon as the child is identified as gifted. So we need to have things in place for the younger ones as well. No program is going to work without teachers with specialized education. One of the questions I get a lot, especially in these times of shrinking budgets, is the class sizes themselves are so big. The class sizes really matter. And I have to tell you, the research does not bear that out, that it matters. I would much rather have my gifted child in a classroom with 36 gifted or with a teacher who really understands how to teach gifted kids and how they learn than in a class with 15 students with a very poor or mediocre teacher who doesn't understand gifted education. So it's more important what's going on in the classroom than that. And I just wanted to throw that in because I get asked that a lot. So some of the program options that we have in Paradise Valley. We're studying at preschool, preschool. We have 2 locations studying for, and I'm not going to talk about these now, I'm going to go over them individually in a minute. School-wide cluster grouping model, we have these 6. Content replacement in honors classes, in math and arts daily, enrichment classes, self-contained programs, uniquely gifted, which is our successional program, non-rural honor school, the digital learning center in the middle school, which we are now extending to high school. We're going to talk about these programs in a minute. The honors academies for engineering and honors academies for foreign language. Honors and advanced placement classes in every one of our schools and high schools and international baccalaureate program K-12. We are also starting some online honors classes. So what do these look like? And every preschool is going to be either half day or full day, depending on the location. It is tuition-based because we don't get funded for preschool. And our schools and colleges can test the students, and we also accept tests from outside psychologists for specialized and testing for gifted students. This program is, if you're a parent of a gifted child who you saw as a youngster saying, my child really needed something different. I get that call every day. My child's in 4-year recommend for a 3-year-old or 4-year-old. Amongst those, always the reaction, except it's not a gifted program. So I'm going to say to you to bring that to your Desert Cove is going to be the full day, and Fireside Middle School up by Desert Ridge is going to be the half day. The school-wide cluster grouping model, we have that in all of our elementary schools. We have K-4 and mandated, and then K-6 in most of the schools. Go ahead. And this is an inclusion model in which gifted students are grouped together at grade level, at every single grade level, at every single school, with a teacher who receives training in gifted education and we have resources for them to differentiate from that group of gifted students in the classroom. Content replacement or honors classes, we have this in every one of our elementary schools as well. So this we have is pull out with a gifted specialist in every elementary school, and the students are pulled out grades 4 through 6. Some schools also pull out 3rd grade for math and language arts. So So the school teachers, the students will have 2 hours with a gifted specialist, and the rest of the day with a gifted cluster teacher. So that's full-time services in every one of our elementary schools. And remember that chart when I was saying 3 out of 100 students on average, national average, will qualify as gifted? The 95% of those students will do well with these 2 programs, the self-contained cluster group model and content replacement or honors classes. In the honors classes, we do accelerate and enrich and go to depth and complexity as well. For that tiny percent of gifted students who need more than their regular gifted program, this is the highly gifted child who's identified in all areas, maybe has an IQ well over 1.5. The child who is radically accelerated with their curriculum. That child might need the self-contained gifted program. That is for students highly gifted children who are learning at least 2 to 3 grade levels beyond. So a second grader will be in 4th and 5th grade math, for example. If you're wondering if that fits your child, then go onto the ADE website and look at the Arizona State standards for the different content areas so you can get a good idea if your child would thrive in that type of a classroom. Now, there is a video on our Gifted website about the self-contained. Like I said, it's a lifesaver for the kids who really need it, but it's a miserable experience for those who don't need it. So if the parent wants their child to be in that program, but they really don't need it, you should really investigate other gifted programs. We actually have 2 locations of this as well, Sonora Sky and Desert Cove. We are, at this moment, planning to expand the self-contained gifted program because we have waiting lists now at all of our sites in almost all of our classrooms. So if you have been told that you're on the waiting list, or you are on the waiting list for a waiting list, or if you are just thinking about applying right now, but you've heard is full self-contained program, please check my website. Starting next week, we will have information out there about the expansion. And once again, it might or might not be for you, but please feel free to share that information with others who you know are in that situation. Uniquely Gifted Program. This is our twice exceptional gifted program for the children who have an IEP and gifted identification. This one is located at North Ranch Elementary School, and the applications go through the school itself, because that's where the psychologist is funded by special ed. So the kids really need to show that the least restrictive environment in the regular special ed services do not suffice and need something different because it's self-contained. And it's a wonderful, wonderful program for those children who need it. Most of the kids in that program really do reside in our area, though. Non-verbal honors core. This is a self-contained program in a middle school located in Greenway. It is a fantastic gifted program, especially for culturally and linguistically diverse gifted students. The team uses a project-based approach to use study thematic units. They do a lot of work with the community, with the museums and the Art Institute. They just do a lot of hands-on, really meaningful, relevant learning experiences in that program. The Digital Learning Center for middle school. This one is located at Sunrise Elementary, and a lot of our kids that are in the self-contained gifted program go into this because once again, you have to be highly gifted with this program. And it is a technology-infused program that features ubiquitous technology. That's one of our IT director's favorite words. It involves innovative instructional practices for authentic learning, and once again, in this program, the course content is based on major thematic units. I'm really excited to tell you that we are now expanding to high school. And by the way, students don't need to reside in our district to participate in any of our gifted programs, except in the open gifted program. So we have people driving from our Dookie and Goodyear to participate in some of our gifted programs. The Digital Learning Center for the high school is going to extend what we've been doing for the middle school, and except that all of the content is based around the AP coursework. So the students have two options. They can go through a 3-year or a 4-year track to go through that high school self-contained AP program. We have honors classes in the schools, in all of our middle schools in Paradise Valley. And this year, this coming year, all of the schools will have all 4 areas: math, English, social studies, and science honors classes in the middle schools. And then even more offerings in the high school for their honors classes. We do look at accelerated and enriched curriculum in these courses. Students need to be high achieving. They need to be, because it's a challenging, fast-paced type of classroom setting. All of the criteria for these different programs is going to be listed on the website. If you go to the website under each, there's a link and a lot of information about each of these programs that I'm just giving you a very brief overview for tonight. The honors academies, these are located at Desert Shrines Middle Schools. There's 2 of them: Honors Academy for Pre-Engineering and an Honors Academy for Foreign Languages. The Honors Academy for Pre-Engineering, a lot of these kids will matriculate into Crest. For world languages, these students will leave middle school with 2 years of experience in 2 different languages, Spanish and French. We're bringing in Mandarin into this, and they also do a summer trip to France and Mexico. And now we have courses in that curriculum are going to be honors as well. So they get specialty coursework in those 2 areas, and then they get all up to the rest of the courses in honors. So they're going to be learning all day, every day with other students. International Baccalaureate Program. We're one of the just a couple of districts in the entire state of Arizona, and just a few in the country, who have a K-12. We have the primary years program is located at Quail Run for the elementary school. The middle years program is located at Vista Green, and the diploma program is located at North Canyon. And that is a trajectory that a lot of the prestigious universities and colleges really look for. They like that. Also the AP classes as well. Let's see. The AP classes we have in all of our high schools, and this is, we have extensive offerings for these, a full complement of AP courses in all of our schools. These students in the AP classes, if they pass the exam, they do receive college credit for that once they get into the university. Something new. We have just starting honors online courses. We started at the high school level, and now we'll move down to the middle school. And this right now we're just completing the curriculum for the elementary school. So we're going to have this for grades 4 through 12 honors online. These courses can be taken in entirety, or pick up a class here and there for an honors course credit. So for example, if your child is one of those who wants to take multiple different subjects but can't fit everything into the schedule, they could do one of the honors classes online in order to be able to get that as well. Coursework emphasizes acceleration, critical thinking, problem solving, and the 4 content areas. The digital learning experience is grades 4 through 6, and this is a free supplemental program that is offered to students who are mainly in private or charter schools who may not be exposed to a lot of education opportunities. So this is an after-school program where the students can select which days they come in, and 2 days a week and Saturdays. 50% of their work is done online through PV learners. So they collaborate with other talented students and work on projects. It's really they love it. They're doing some fantastic programs or projects, digital projects that you can see on our website on the digital learning experience called the DLE. If you take a look at that link, you'll see some of their work not have to attend our schools in order to participate in that project. So that program. Some of the projects that you will see when you go to the website are visual representations of learning. That there are projects centered around goals, sustainability, civic responsibility, democratic debate, and STEM. Okay, so those, in a nutshell, are the education programs that we provide. There's also abilities for teachers to provide services and provisions within those programs, but also within the regular classroom as well. So I'm going to very briefly talk, if you're saying, I'm not sure about what my son's teacher is doing, some of it is just really not visible, but it's the strategies and instructional methods that we teach them in order to know how to interact with students on a daily basis and to make sure that we're stimulating thought. I'm going to share with you some of them. Most of all of our data programs provide the opportunity for acceleration in areas where the student needs it. In order to find out if the student needs it, we teach the teachers how to reassess, how to use formative assessments, diagnostic testing, so we can make sure that the students, if they have already learned something, they're not sitting there while waiting for a teacher to teach it or everybody else learns it. And a faster presentation of the content more closely matches the speed at which the gifted children learn. Flexible grouping. This is where we temporarily group students based on their interests, their abilities, their learning styles, their desires, what they want to learn. And we can flexibly group within the classroom, beyond the classroom, and even beyond the grade levels. Curriculum compacting. This is a strategy that teachers use to eliminate repetition, minimize drill, and accelerate curriculum-based skills so that the children do not have to spend so much time learning whatever it is we spend that much time learning. Critical thinking and enrichment. All of our professional development is centered around this. How do we really challenge children through their thought processes and help them think critically and provide depth and complexity and more interesting aspects to what we are, things that might be interesting to them. So these are learning activities, question strategies that emphasize critical creative thinking, using depth and complexity. We teach teachers how to develop fluency, flexibility, collaboration, and ultimately originality in students' work. I just described a lot of different models and services. I have to tell you though that there's no one single best program for gifted students. I get the question all the time. People will call me and say, what's your best gifted program? And you know what? What's best for you is not what's best for your child. It's not what's best for your child. That's why we have what I call a continuum of services in Paradise Valley School District. Because we know that with all of that, all of the range of giftedness, I like to say the different phases of giftedness, the different levels, the students are going to have very different needs. So just because your neighbor has needs one child needs one program, do your homework, figure out, go through our website and see some of the content that's listed there. Look at some of the videos, and then you decide for yourself what you think is the best program for your child. We have the school-wide cluster grouping link on the PVUSD website. There's a lot of information there. If you scroll down, there's a dozen different articles on the model. Since that is our basic structure here for this in all of our schools, I would recommend you looking at that first. If you've been told that your child is in a gifted cluster classroom, you don't know what that really means and what the expectations are and what you think the teacher should be doing, please take a look at that and read through some of those articles that are listed there. It will help guide your conversations with your teachers so that you can say, well, this is what I saw in this article, and can you tell me what this looks like in your classroom? The same thing for the content replacement, and the gifted specialist at every school is the one who's providing that. This teacher works very closely with the gifted cluster teachers because she's pulling out for just 2 subject areas, or 1 if your child doesn't need to. So she's working and collaborating with that gifted cluster teacher on a daily basis to make sure that she's supporting, providing resources, doing training, and so that the child really does have 2 gifted teachers. One in a homeroom all day, every day, with all the projects and all the wonderful things accelerated piece for the math and the language arts if they are pulled out once they are pulled out. One of the things that I can also point out before, because I know that some of you have questions that we can talk about, is that the teachers doing activities in the curriculum planning and instruction and how to motivate your child. But you have unique insights into all of your children, how they learn, their interests and attitudes and challenges. This is a partnership. The teachers really need to have some of this information. You need to know what it is that they are doing in the classroom, because a lot of it is just not visible. I had a parent call me once that said, there's nothing different going on in my child's every cluster classroom. And I said, well, how do you know that? And she said, because she's coming home with the same lessons as the one next door, and he's not gifted, and my daughter is. Well, this happened to be a kindergartner. So I said, I'm not here in the classroom, because I said, I know who you're this teacher, and I know she's doing some remarkable things. Met her in the classroom, and the kids were sitting around the circle, the rug, and the teacher was doing reading every book, and it was on the Arctic Ocean. And obviously these kids had been studying other oceans and other the map. Because she was asking some questions, some very straight level questions, some recall comprehension. And then she started asking some different questions, some higher level questions. And like she was asking one student, can you point out on the map where the Arctic Ocean is? And she said, who would tell me what European country border the Arctic Ocean? This is a kindergarten class. I can't tell you that. I can guess at some of them. But the hands were coming up, and the kids were raised. It was showing that the kids knew what she was talking about. They had done a lot of that work. And she asked some difficult questions like comparing with the Indian Ocean and different things. Well, and then when she had the kids do the assignment, she had them different tables, flexibly grouped in the classroom. And there were different levels to the assignments. So some kids were given some information, some kids had to seek out some information, some kids had to figure out, through different levels. So there were 3 different levels. That's how we teach teachers to teach students in a mixed ability classroom and make a cluster classroom when we know that there's kids that are working at a far different level. But you know what, that mom, looking at the kids' work, she would not have seen that. So those are discussions that you're going to have with your teachers. So the teachers can always tell you how they're raising the level for certain students. And a lot of it is through questioning strategies, going deeper into the content than most kids can know. Nancy Robinson is an expert in the field of gifted education, and I was in one of her workshops, and she had the parents chanting this. But it really struck me because the teachers go into education because they want to help children. They like kids. So you want to make that, you want to approach that saying that you're a person of partnership, and this person is working with me, and this person doesn't see my child the way I see it. But together, we can make a big difference with it. So we want to create these partnerships, collaborations between the home and school. And a lot of times it's just communication. But the most important thing is just positive communication. Teachers are going to react a whole lot better to your questions and concerns if you approach it in a positive way. So that's all that I have to talk about the overview of our gifted